All righty, let's go. Hello there, beautiful people. My name is Steve Wheatcroft. I am your host of The Uncomfortable Chat, a podcast I put together to both entertain and educate you. We'll be interviewing a bunch of golfers, celebrities, entertainers, sports psychologists to not only open up some behind the scenes scoops and inside the ropes stories, but also to help educate on the importance of keeping your mental health at the forefront of your day to day lives. I truly hope you find the pod enjoyable to listen to. My first guest is a great friend of mine and newly retired PGA Tour golfer. He's known in the media for being the grandson of the great Arnold Palmer, but as you're about to see, there's way more to him than just that. Without further ado, I give you my friend, the one and only Sam Saunders. Hello, everybody. I now want to welcome on a very special guest, newly retired PGA Tour golfer, proud Clemson Tiger alum, a loving husband to Kelly, and a dad of two great boys. The grandson of my childhood hero, Mr. Arnold Palmer, the outdoorsman himself, Sam Saunders. Thanks for coming on the pod, Sammy.
Oh, Weedy, it's great to see you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, buddy. My pleasure. But so how, now that you've been retired for almost, 4 weeks now?
Yeah, time flies. I guess we're at a month now, I guess.
Is it too early to ask how retirement's going?
No. And it's been, I actually just did an Instagram update the other day to, all the nice folks out there that have wished me so much nice support. I felt like I needed to follow up a month later and just say, hey, retirement's been pretty busy, actually. The first week I did an alarming amount of yard work that I really felt like I have been neglecting because, as a professional golfer, we have to have nice lawns, right? I mean, I can't have my neighbors outlawn me, especially as an agronomy junkie and golf course junkie like I am. I really wanted to have, the nicest turf in the neighborhood. So
yep.
I went to work on that and it was great. And then about a week after, I was like, okay, I'm done with that. And I need to I need to start making a living again or figuring out how I'm going to do it. So I've been it's been amazing, honestly, Weedy. I've had so many people reach out and I feel like there have been a lot of cool doors that are opening just because I've been so fortunate to meet so many great people throughout my career. And I'm super excited about a lot of the things I'm getting into now.
Well, that's awesome. A lot of our public probably doesn't know that. So you've been signed on with the Golf Channel, so to speak, and you're going to be doing some TV work going forward. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit. And secondly, do you think your hair is too cool for TV?
Well, this is a fairly new haircut. I'm not 100% sure. It's in the morning. I mean, I did wake up. I haven't had a chance to hit it with a blow dryer or anything. No, I was trying to grow it out and my wife said, no, you're done with that. It's not working out anymore. So, but no, as for the TV stuff, I've had the opportunity to do a few things, kind of put my foot in the door there over the last couple years. I did the US Open at the Country Club, did digital coverage for that. I did the Zozo for Golf Channel in Japan. And then I did Thursday, Friday coverage for Bay Hill last year, kind of lead in for Golf Channel for before network coverage. So it's been a really cool experience. I enjoy it. I'm working with Steve Sands this week, who's been awesome. He's been, kind of like a mentor to me on the TV side of things, and we're friends. And he was actually out in Fort Collins, where I live, a couple of weeks ago for the Colorado CSU game, which we don't need to talk about the outcome of that. But Steve's a CSU alum, so we kind of have a connection there. And I'm a proud season ticket holder for the Rammies now. So, it's tough when they're not, playing the way they want. But the good thing is those games are awfully fun because it's pretty laid back atmosphere. So
that's awesome. Dion didn't get you down on the sidelines with his crew?
No, I stay on the green side over there. So it's
I like that. I like that.
yeah.
Sansy's a good dude. He'll be. I'm looking forward to watching you guys in the booth, and I think you guys will gel well together. Obviously. So
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun to work with him, and we'll see where this goes. I'd love to have the opportunity to do more events next year. I love talking about golf, and I know a lot of the guys out there playing that are, whether it's guys that are have been on the Corn Ferry Tour the last few years that are now killing it on the PGA Tour, or guys that the general public haven't heard of yet. And I would be excited to be able to talk about the Matt McCartys and the Frankie Cappins and guys that I think are just going to do incredible stuff on the PGA Tour, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know them and watch them, battle it out on Corn Ferry the last couple of years. So
yeah, no, that's great. Have we completely closed the window on coming back?
I'm 13 years from 50. Well, I guess 12 years, right? And
Yeah.
With the fitness routine that I'm addicted to and trying to just stay in shape so that I can chase my kids and climb mountains and ski like a crazy person, as long as I don't break anything else, I'm holding out hopes for being, the longest hitter that the Champions Tour's ever seen at 50.
I like that. And thanks for giving the teaser to our fans here on your fitness routine, because there might be something special coming later in the pod.
Oh, great. Perfect.
I want to take a quick minute to thank our first ever sponsor here at the Uncomfortable Chat, Slipstream IT, a company redefining IT for life sciences. At Slipstream, they partner with a purpose. They believe in the power of technology and the life sciences to enable people to live healthier, more fulfilling lives. You can learn more about Slipstream at slipstream-it.com. And now back to Sam Saunders. Nice, man. Well, you obviously know a lot of my story here. We've been talking quite a bit the last few weeks, and this pod's obviously going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a bunch of great stories. I do want to touch on some of the mental health side of things as well, and I also want this to be a good platform for juniors, college kids, whatnot, to kind of experience what it's going to be like on the PGA Tour, what they need to be ready for, how parents can best interact with their children to give them the best chance to play good golf. And one of the goals of our podcast is going to hopefully provide some useful information for parents raising not only golfers, but athletes of all kind. Can you give me a quick rundown on your childhood as far as other sports you played, how your parents helped you along the way, and the things you valued most from their parenting?
Yeah, that's a great question, Weedy. I think it's changed so much. I mean, there's so many kids are getting individualized into a sport at younger and younger ages now. I played golf, obviously, but I was very serious into basketball. I played for my school. I played AAU basketball, and it was very competitive stuff up until 7th grade, which I know is still incredibly young. But I realized at 14, 15 years old that I was not going to make it in the NBA. And it was a real shock to me.
I'm just picturing you in the shorts running up and down the court. So,
well, I was about 6 feet tall by the end of 7th grade. So I sprouted quickly and had hopes of being really tall and really good. And then I just stopped. That was the peak of my height. So I was pretty good at golf by the 7th grade, and I was actually able to make the high school team and play on the varsity golf team in 7th and 8th grade at a private school there in Orlando, when that was allowed. So it was a cool experience, and getting to play with guys that were 17 and 18 years old as a 14-year-old was invaluable, because they just absolutely whooped up on me, and it forced me to hit the ball further. It forced me to get better. And by the time I was a freshman in high school, I was pretty competitive and really was just addicted to golf. I played every single day. But as far as a childhood goes, I think the reason why I was successful in golf through high school and into college and then to be able to make it professionally is that it wasn't forced upon me. And despite the fact that Arnold Palmer was my grandfather, and my dad was a good player, and obviously golf was a big part of our family, they let me develop my own passion and love for the game. And I don't I don't think you can make it onto the highest level of any sport, whether it's golf, basketball, football, whatever you want to do. You're not going to make it to the highest level unless you truly love it yourself. You cannot you can't look at it as a job when you're a kid. It's got to be fun. It's got to be something you want to wake up and go do every single day. And I did. I really wanted to wake up and play golf. I remember when we go, to Pennsylvania for Christmas as a kid, or go on a family trip, and I couldn't play golf for a couple days in a row. I had so much anxiety about maybe I was going to forget how to play golf, and it was going to be the worst thing that ever happened. So I loved it, and I'm very grateful that my parents never made it feel like something that I had to do. And I think that's really important now for parents to understand that it's got to stay fun.
Good. And I couldn't agree more. That's one of the things that drives me nuts right now when I see juniors playing in these pro-ams when I was out on tour, and the parents are just so hard on them. They're critiquing every swing, and they don't understand that they're going to drive their children out of golf if they just keep up with that. So if the child has the love for the game, he's going to have the love for the game. You can't force that on anybody and let them go play and practice as they want. And
I mean, and I've got a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old now. My 15-year-old plays football, and he plays golf a little bit too, but football is pretty much his main sport, Cohen. And my role with him is I want you to be as good at football as you want to be, and I will help you in any way that you want to take it. But way more important than being good at football is my goal when you leave my house and become an adult is you need to be a good person. And being good at sports is great, but being a good person and being respectful, learning how to work hard, that's going to take you a lot further in life, whether or not sports work out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I also loved your point there about playing up, so to speak, when you were a 14, 15-year-old playing with 17 and 18-year-old kids. That's what I did. I put myself into situations where, it's one thing to be the best player around, but it's not going to make you any better. It might make you worse. So I like to play. When I went to college, I walked on at Indiana University. I was the worst player on that team by far. The coach told me he was going to cut me after 6 months. But I challenged the number one guy all the time. For some reason, I would talk trash and I'd say, let's go play. Nobody else wanted to play because it was cold, and I'd go out there and get my brains beat in. But I learned something, and I'd watch them practice. And a lot of that stuff slowly starts to sink in when you watch them do it day after day. And you become a better player because of it. And I did the same thing with my son when we moved down here, and they said, my wife said they want him to try out for the all-star team. Do you think he's ready for that? And I said, I have no idea, but there's one way to find out. Like, I'd rather him play with the best players around, and we'll see. But, worst case scenario, he doesn't make it. But best case scenario is he learns from the best players around, and he becomes one of them. And that's the way it's worked out. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a lost art in parenting of letting your kids fail. Sometimes it's a really good lesson to let them fail and let them see that, hey, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you need to work harder if this is where you want to go with it. We cater so much to making sure that they're on the team that they want to be on. And that's not how it works as you get older and progress. So I think it's great to learn at a young age, like, hey, maybe I'm not ready for this. And maybe next year I'll be ready for it, but I gotta do more. And I'm sure you don't ever remember as a kid, knowing what your world ranking was as a 12-year-old in golf. That didn't exist. It always kind of cracks me up when I meet these parents and they're like, yeah, my 9-year-old is ranked 3rd in the country. And I on what basis? I mean, they're 9.
Yeah, and what's that get you in the grand scheme of things? Might get you some NIL dollars, I guess, now, but
that's a whole nother avenue of discussion there.
And it's like, is that his goal? Probably not to be the number 3 ranked 9-year-old. But I told my son the other day, he was struggling batting, and I just said, a quote that I love is, don't be mad at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in.
That's
And it's like, what are you mad for? Like, you should stink because you didn't practice.
You got to earn the right to get mad. And I've said that to my son. Of course. Hey, what do you mean? I can get mad on the golf course. I work really hard at it, and it's my job. You can't get mad. You play golf a few times a year, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that was my favorite Pro-Am line when guys would just throw fits out there when we're playing. I said, look, you don't practice enough to get this mad.
Yeah,
plain and simple. So
that's a fact.
Anyway, so coming out of junior golf, you're obviously a great player at Clemson. But when in either high school or college did you have that aha moment that professional golf was not only something you wanted to do, but also something you realistically thought you could do?
Yeah, I, I honestly, Weedy, I think I may, looking back at my career now and just the progression of where I was through high school and college and professional golf, I honestly think I probably peaked physically when I was about 17 and 18 years old. I think that was when I had the most talent and the most ability in golf. I was really good at a young age. So I think I won the high school state championship in Florida individually by like 5 shots or something I think I was a sophomore. And then, which, in Florida, that was a pretty big deal. I had some full scholarship offers right after that because it's a young age to do something like that. And I think I finished second my junior and senior year. And I won a lot of golf tournaments. I was playing a lot of FCWTs back then, and some AJGAs. But what's kind of cool is I didn't travel that much with my junior golf career. I remember, most of the tournaments I would drive to with my dad, they kept it. I think I flew to Texas one time. It was a lot different when I was growing up playing. And
Yep.
I do remember though, I won my last junior golf tournament down in South Florida at the FCWT National Championship. And I was able to move to, the number one junior golfer in the country. And you remember the old Golf Week junior golf rankings.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they do now, but that was a big deal for me because I was good and I was really proud of that. And then it lasted for a week because I went to college after that. So I knew then, junior and senior year, I knew, hey, this is something I can do. I'm pretty good at this. I mean, if I'd have had it my way, I would have just turned pro right after high school. And who knows, maybe I would have been successful because I was just really good at golf, but I had no clue how to balance life and work hard. And I'm grateful for my college experience, not because I played well. Honestly, compared to my junior golf career, I had a terrible college career. I didn't win any tournaments. I left after 3 years and decided to turn pro because I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was getting better at golf, and I certainly wasn't giving school the attention that it deserved. And I just had a hard time balancing that. I loved my time at Clemson, but in terms of golf, it was I learned the best part was I learned how to work hard. I learned how to manage things not going my way all the time, which was huge. And not that I lost junior golf tournaments, but for the most part, I won a lot of the things I played in. And it was, golf seemed easy. Life seemed easy sometimes in high school. And college was different. It was a punch in the face for me. My freshman year, I missed the lineup in the first golf tournament that the team went to, and I just couldn't believe that. I was the number one junior in the country. I should be automatically just red carpet rolled out to go to the first tournament, and it was a great awakening and realization of it's not what you did, it's what are you doing right now, and that's something that is really important in life to understand. You got to stay on it all the time, and I worked hard, and I came back my sophomore year. Freshman year, I was a big kid. I got out of shape. I was overweight. And I realized that, even though I was really good at junior golf and I had all this ability, that there was more to the game. I needed to get better mentally, and I definitely needed to get a lot better physically. So I lost a lot of weight. I got in shape and came back sophomore year and I had my best season my sophomore year of college. And I was sniffing making some of the Walker Cup team type things. I didn't make any of them, but it was a solid year. And then after my junior year, decided to go ahead and start chasing my dream of playing professionally, just because I felt I had plateaued a little bit. But it's all in all, like I said, it was a great experience, and I learned a lot through my struggles.
Oh, that's great. That kind of helps lead into my next question. So in 2012, you cut your big break by earning your web.com tour card. And for anybody that's been on the mini tours, that's kind of that's the next big break. Okay, now I'm playing on a PGA Tour sanctioned tour and not chasing mini tours anymore. And I assume that was your first true year of a full schedule and adjusting to life on the road. Now, being by yourself on the road can be very overwhelming, and especially for an up-and-coming golfer. Did you have any problem adjusting to that part of the career, and what did you do to kind of make it easier?
Yeah, like you said, I turned pro 2010. So 10 and 11, I just bounced around wherever I could play. I was fortunate to get some sponsor exemptions early on some PGA Tour events, and I had a couple of good finishes where I was able to make some big chunks of money early, which just helped me to go do all the Monday qualifiers I wanted and chase it as hard as I could, and obviously go to Q school, and then got through Q school 2012 and got web.com status back then, or actually nationwide tour. Right. Yeah. We were nationwide tour when we first got out there, and yes, played that full season. And yes, that was a big change in just the consistency and how much travel it was, and a lot of, time alone in a hotel room. And I met my wife, and we actually got married in 2000. 2012 we were married. So
might want to get that one faster next time, bud.
Wedded that one out. Yeah.
I'll cut that part for you.
The years run together, but no, so we were married in 12, and that definitely helped me because I had that support. I had my wife, and we had Cohen, and we had Ace was born in 2013. So I had a family at a very young age, and I was honestly, I don't know that I could have done it. I don't know that I would have kept on and made it in a career if I was alone, because as you said, those nights alone in a hotel room, traveling and just dealing with it all were really hard on me. And there were times when I got off the golf course and I was so miserable that if I didn't have my wife to call and talk to and give me the support that she's given me over my career, and my kids to FaceTime with eventually, and I don't know that I would have made it. I don't know that I would have gotten through some of those times that you just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And I think you partially answered my next question, but the mental health conversation has never been more prevalent on tour than what it is right now. Obviously with Grayson's tragic passing, as well as Rusty Estes, the tour rep that we all knew, and Ray, who caddies out on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
There needs to be some changes, not only in golf, but with all the sports. Is there anything that you could see that would be beneficial for the tour to do as far as helping their players out, giving them extra resources? And like the mental, my passion for this, and I've been working with the tour, and the resources they have are good. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's always a hesitancy from the players' side to go to those resources because they still look at it as a sign of weakness. And as I said in my story that I posted a while back, that you can work with a trainer, you could work with a sports psychologist, you can work with a swing coach. None of that's ever frowned upon. But if you say, hey, I'm working with a therapist, or I go talk to a therapist, the first thought is, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And, guys like that, especially with your point just a minute ago about how much time you spend alone in a hotel room, there's a lot of time to think, whether it's good or bad. But if you shoot a couple of 76s and you're sitting in a hotel room, they're not going to be great thoughts because for better, for worse, PGA Tour players, Korn Ferry Tour players, whoever it might be, we judge our self-worth by our scores that we shoot.
Yeah.
And that's a horrific thing to do, plain and simple. It's one of the worst things you can do is base who you are as a person by the scores you shoot on a golf course. It doesn't seem to make sense, but that's just how we're kind of wired. Do you have anything that you would do differently now, looking back on your career, as far as the mental health side? And is there anything that the tour could be doing that you feel could be beneficial for the players?
Yeah. I think camaraderie out on tour, and, both Korn Ferry Tour now and the PGA Tour is a bit of a lost art. I found myself to be a lot happier, and there was more camaraderie when I was playing on the Korn Ferry Tour versus the PGA Tour. It's a very selfish career, quite honestly. Guys develop their own, especially nowadays, guys develop their own teams. They've got, like you said, they've got managers, they've got swing coaches, they've got, their support team, which sometimes they're there and sometimes they can go and do dinners with them. But a lot of time they're alone. And I think there's just not enough of guys getting down with a round of golf and getting out there and going to dinners with each other and hanging out after. It's you go to the course, you go to the gym, you sit alone in your hotel room. Nowadays guys are, doing Uber Eats or, getting food delivered to their room, and maybe they'll go sit sit and have dinner by themselves, and it's a vicious cycle because it's easy. It's easy to just say, okay, well, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm just gonna go. I'm going to go grab some dinner. I'm going to go sit in the hotel room. I'll scroll through Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is you're on and eat your dinner and not really have any communication with anyone out there. And it sounds okay, but then it's not.
Sure.
And you really are creating a mentality for yourself of I'm just alone out here, and I don't have a support system, and I don't have any friends. And when you've got 10 guys that all get along and should be hanging out together, but they're all doing the same thing, and they're all going back and being alone, and then they think they don't really have anybody out there that they hang out with. They don't have friends, and it's not that they do. It's more that you've created this mentality that you don't have a group of guys that you could hang out with out there. So I think they've got to have a better way of creating that camaraderie, bringing players and caddies and guys together. And I will say, on a positive note, there was a bit of a shift this year after what happened with Grayson, which I think it hit a lot of us really hard, and it hit home for a lot of us because we know Grayson, we played with him, we spent time with him, and it just hit differently when one of your peers, one of your friends, that happens too. And I noticed a shift in just the way guys looked at each other, the way guys spoke to each other. We walk past each other in the locker room or on the range, and it's the same head nod. It's the same, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, how you doing? And it's this monotonous, I don't really care how you're doing. I'm just saying hi.
Yep.
But I think guys started genuinely asking, hey, how are you doing? And I think that's got to be the first step is don't just say hey to somebody just to say it. Go talk to them, go engage, ask them what they've been up to, get together. Let's grab dinner this week, but actually do it and follow through. And the more guys can interact with each other, because that's the thing about golf. It's the most individual sport out there. There's no team dinners. The tour's not setting up group dinners and things like that. And I honestly think that would be a great step in the right direction is providing more opportunity for players to get together and have a meal during the week of a tournament. And it would spark a lot of new friendships and new relationships and build that camaraderie that's incredibly important just for human beings. It's not just about golfers. It's for humans. Like, happiness is based on relationships. The more good, meaningful relationships you have, the happier and healthier your brain is. And that's what we need to do. And I think in terms of the mental health resources out there, having a hotline that you can call is a step. But I think having boots on the ground and having people out there that you can actually engage with and like you said, it's like having a therapist, having someone that you can sit and talk to. Yep. And really express your feelings with and be honest about what you're saying and looking at them in the face is a lot different than whether it's a Zoom call or whether it's a phone call to a person that you don't really know. That can be helpful, but sitting there and genuinely engaging with someone like you who has been through it and can speak to what an individual is going through, that's where it's really going to make a difference for people.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. And, I think I've spoken with you about this, but I've been working with Jay and Phil Marburger and a lot of people over there at headquarters. And, my plan was simple for them. I said, let me stand up in front of 150 players at your player meeting, run through my story and what I've been through, and literally just say, everybody pull your phones out, take down my phone number. And if you call me, if you text me, you and I are the only ones that are ever going to know you did it. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if you just ask me 7,000 questions. I'll sit there and answer every single one of them. Just get talking, because you probably think you're alone in your thoughts. You probably think nobody else thinks the same way you do. Mm-hmm. And you're going to learn that a lot of the tour thinks the same way you do, but nobody talks about it. So, and you never know until you let it out in public. So, whatever we can do to help those guys, I'm 100% on board with it. I'm founding the Mulligan Foundation, and awesome. We're getting ready to fire that up here soon. And we're hopefully going to be raising a lot of money so that I can be out there and helping a lot of the tours with not only the PGA Tour, but the LPGA, the juniors and the AJGA, wherever we can help educate people and give them a platform. just talk and get things out in the open. And I love your idea about the dinners as well. I don't think there's any problem with the tour taking a little bit of money out of the PIP and saying, hey, look, we've got $2 million. We're going to rent out a steakhouse, like in the back room of the steakhouse, and we're going to bring 10 different guys in there on a Tuesday night. And we'll buy dinner, and we'll just have the guys sitting beside each other. Everybody can sit and just talk.
Yeah, I know for a fact that money does not equal happiness there, Weedy. And how much money does an athlete need to make at some point? I'd love to see guys actually having friends and having camaraderie out there. It's way more important than, saying, oh, I made $30 million this year. Because, having all the money in the world isn't a whole lot of use if you don't have, people around you to enjoy life with. So,
that's great. Great answer.
I think, like we look back at, I can, my favorite memories on tour were going to the Tuesday night dinner at the John Deere Classic, where they would have a big family cookout, and we'd get to drive tractors and watch them use all this heavy machinery. The Greenbrier events where we all stayed in the same area, and we had wiffle ball tournaments out in the yards, and we were hanging out in the pools. I made more meaningful relationships with players on weeks like that than I ever did competing against anyone in a golf tournament. That's not even close.
And more times than not, you barely talk about golf when you're out there with those guys. Never. You might talk about the round that day, but then you go into the family and so-and-so's baseball or, cooking different meals at home, whatever it might be. It's just it's conversation away from golf.
Well, it's real life. It's real life conversation, not your job. And that's the thing. Like there's the front that we all put forward as golfers. And then when we get together, it's amazing how much you learn about guys when you get to interact away from the golf course in a different setting. They're like different people. So
I agree completely. So great answer. Don't want this to be fully serious. So now we're going to get into a couple of fun stories for you and I that a lot of people probably don't know, and they like to hear some stuff from inside the ropes. So
sure.
First one, I assume you probably know where I'm going with this one. But in 2016, we're both playing we had to go back to the Corn Ferry Tour Q School to try to get our PGA Tour cards back. You were living in Atlantic Beach. I live here in Jacksonville. We played a ton of golf at Atlantic Beach together, and that's where the site of the final tournament was. Coming into the last tournament, you're 25th on the money list. I think I was 24th, or maybe it was 23rd and 24th. We're right on the bubble. Yeah. Top 25 get their tour cards at the end of the week. We're playing our home course. We get paired together. You were way more confident than I was. I was a nervous wreck, figuring there's all these expectations. Everybody assumes we're going to get through. And I just remember walking to the first tee, or the 10th tee, I guess, for our round. And you're standing up there all confident as can be. And I walk over to shake your hand, you say good morning. And you just look at me and you say, what was it? You remember?
Are we doing the usual today?
Yep. You just looked at me and you said usual. And I started smiling. It broke the ice completely. It calmed me down. Now, for people that don't know what the usual is, Sam and I would play once, twice a week. And we would try to set up bets on the first hole. And it was just the usual. So if you went bogey free, the other guy owed you $50. If you shot 65 or better, the other guy owed you $50. So that was just the standard bet. And if we played any team games or anything on top of that, so be it. But we would just say usual.
Yeah, that was our individual bet every time we played.
So Sam hits me with that on the first tee of one of the biggest rounds of my life, and completely broke the ice. And the night before, it's a funny side story. I don't even know if you know this, but my wife and I were talking, and she's like, how's the pairing normally if you're paired with friends, like good friends? Does that bother you? Is it harder? And I was like, no, honestly, honey, it's the only time it's tough is if one guy gets off to a quick start and one guy doesn't. Because then you start thinking about the other person and like how they're handling things. And I just remember you ripped one down the middle on 10, hit this high towering 3-wood onto the green. You birdied 10, you birdied 11, you birdied 12. And I walked to 13T going, oh my God, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. And I told my wife about I'm the one that's going to shoot 81 today.
Oh God.
And luckily I birdied 13 and 14 to calm myself down. But fast forward through the round, we both caught fire. We were playing great. We were paired with Ryo Ishikawa, who still
also made a ton of birdies that day. Yep.
8 birdies and shot even par.
That was
two bogeys, a double, and a quad, if I remember. It's funny. I can't remember the last tournament I played, but I can remember this.
That day was pretty memorable, I guess.
Yes. So needless to say, I shot 62 that day, and I lost by 3. So
Yeah.
Sammy makes the, you played great. You played really, really well. You made the bogey on 15, but then you came back with a bunch of birdies coming in. You birdied, I think, the last 7.
Yeah, I think so. Last 7. Yeah.
To shoot the magical number of 59. And I just remember I walked over to you after you made the putt. Everybody's going crazy. I shook your hand and I said, "Great playing today. You still owe me $50."
Yeah.
And your reaction was like, "No, I do." Oh my God, I do.
Yeah. You're 62. You're bogey free 62. Just so boring, by the way. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just plotting it along, hitting it down the middle, hitting greens, putting like you putt. I mean, it was obnoxious. I made it a little bit more interesting, and yeah, still lost $50 too. I've never been so happy to hand $50 to somebody. That was the coolest scene. I mean, there were Pete's turn. I mean, there were a bunch of people up there.
Yeah.
It was probably highlight of my career, honestly. Just that feeling in that moment. That was cool. And then have to look you in the face and watch you were so excited to say that.
I was too. It was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, not too often. I lose by 3. You shoot 59 and I win money.
Yeah.
It did take you a few weeks to pay.
Oh man, did it really?
And I had to sign, I think, about 50 scorecards.
That's right.
It had to be, one had to go here, one had to go there. So I had to stay after the round. But I will give you, I will say thank you because I didn't have to do one interview after I was done after being in second place shooting 62. I was able to get in my car and drive home.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Well, your signed scorecard hangs proudly in my basement on the wall. So I love that your signature is always going to be there.
I'm still trying to get the one that they have hanging in Atlantic Beach. I want them to put the $50 in there as well. Like,
that would be nice.
Corner, just so that everybody knows. I need you to sign that and put that in there as well.
I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the greatest days of golf I've ever been a part of. It was, there were just birdies flying everywhere. I think we made 30 birdies between the 3 of us, something like that in that day. It was insane, but it was so much fun as well. And it's one thing to be playing great golf, but it's another to have, to get on that run like you and I both did with one of your great friends. And
yeah, I was going to say, to be able to be playing in any tournament with one of your good buddies that you play. I mean, we played a lot of golf together when we lived there. So to be able to play in a tournament that matters and then have a special day like that, that's why we'll remember that day forever, because it's, there's competition and there's, I played well here, but then as you look back on a career, it's the special days with your friends out there that you remember the most.
Yeah. And luckily for both of us, you finished, I think, second that week. I was 20th or something like that, but we both got our PGA Tour. Excuse me. We both got our PGA Tour cards, and that was the goal for the week. And it just turned out to be a magical week, like you said. So really
fun.
In 2018, we're both playing on the PGA Tour, and we were playing quite a few practice rounds together. So we were lucky enough, or I guess I was lucky enough. You were starting to play with Jason Bone and Carl Pedersen quite a bit.
My favorite year on tour because of this grouping. Yeah.
Yes. And I can't remember how it happened, but you called me at Greenbrier and said, "Look, I need a partner tomorrow. We got Boney and Carl. You want to go?" I was like, "Heck yes." So this is going to be, and those were some of my favorite rounds of all time, because those two are just absolute characters. Yeah.
Well, and we had a regular game though. That's the thing. Like, of all of the times of time on tour, practice rounds are miserable out there. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and let the whole world know that watches this. Practice rounds on the PGA Tour are one of my least favorite things in the world. They're just a bunch of guys out there by themselves. Occasionally you go out and play and you just hit shots and you chip and you putt. And it's just, for me, it was almost hurtful, just a regular practice round. But, Bone and Carl, they invited us into their world, and they had the regular Tuesday game. And it was kind of similar to our game, but it was, we had a bogey free bet. And then there was typically a Nassau, but the bogey free part, and I'll let you go on this, because that was where it really got fun with those guys.
Yeah. So I got to set it up with Greenbrier first. So Sam and I were obviously on a team against those two. And it was $100 if the guy went bogey free. Everybody in the group, even his teammate, had to pay him. Right. So we go play Greenbrier, and Carl shoots Boney shoots 62 on us at Greenbrier in the practice round. So we all owed him, $100. He makes 300. Then the team bets, they cleaned us up there too. So of course we set up the rematch for next week in Canada. Mm-hmm. Going back to Glen Abbey, where I may have had a bit of a bunker incident a couple years, or the year before. But we don't need to talk about that. This is a positive podcast. But anyway, we have a great little match going. I think there's 4 bets going into 18. I'm bogey free. I think I'm 7 under on the day. And we get to 18, the famous par 5, where Tiger hit the 6-iron out of the bunker. And so we go up there, and I'm in like the left side of the fairway. Everybody's hits good drives.
Oh my gosh, I remember this. Yeah.
You're my teammate. You rinse it. And then Boney steps up going for the green. He rinses it. So now it's up to Carl, and Carl knocks it on the green in 2. And needless to say, I wasn't comfortable hitting that second shot, and I was struggling with the fairway woods at that point. And it was like a perfect little 5-wood for me, but I was just afraid if I missed this at all, it's in the water, and I cost myself $300.
230 to the front, the Tour Pro's laying up.
Yep. So I just kept looking at it. I'm like, you sure about this number, Zoo? And he's like, yep, I'm sure. And I go, am I really going to do this? He's like, oh, yeah, you got to do this.
Oh.
So I just remember I grabbed the 8-iron out of the bag, and I chipped it down the fairway just short of the water. And I look over, and Boney's like this, arms crossed, just staring at me, shaking his head like this, like the disapproving father look, right? And I was like, Boney, I don't care. I don't even care right now. I'm not actually hitting that shot.
Was a more courageous play to lay up than it ever would have been to go for it, because you knew you were never going to hear the end of that.
Oh, I know. Ever. So I wedged it on the green. I ended up making the putt. You and I win the team bets a little bit. And I don't remember what I was a little delayed. Everybody was going to go in. We're going to have lunch together, right? So I was like 5 minutes behind you guys for some reason. And I go walking into the lunchroom, and Boney has told the entire lunchroom about what I just did. And
quietly, he's such a soft talker.
Oh my God. Yeah. That high pitch. Like, oh my God, Woody just laid it up.
Yep.
He had 205 to the front edge, I think. I don't know. But yeah, the entire lunchroom knew by the time I got in there that I laid the thing up. And so let's flash forward to, I think it was Thursday morning. I go to my locker to get ready for my round. And I go to unlock or open my locker door, and it's locked for some reason. They don't lock them there.
Yeah,
what's going on? So I asked the locker room attendant, "You mind unlocking this for me?" Yeah, no problem. So he kind of gives me a little smirk too when he's doing it. So I open my locker up, and there's a hanger in there, and there's a pair of lace pink women's panties that are about size 46. Right? I mean, these things are enormous. They would cover a Volkswagen. And they're just hanging in my locker, and I lost it. I fell down laughing so hard. And I walk upstairs, and sure enough, Boney's up there. I said, "Boney, you in my locker this morning?" No idea what you're talking about. And I was like, well played, sir.
Yeah, you earned him. He was proud of that. So
the best part of it was he told me that he and Carl actually left the practice round. They both went to like a Marshall's together. They're wandering through the women's lingerie section, and they'd be 20 yards apart, and "Hey, Boney, look at these things. How these work?" And it was phenomenal. But the second part of that, where you come into play again, is they were in my golf bag forever, because I was going to try to get somebody back, and I forgot they were in there. And later on,
remember this now. Yeah,
we're in Ohio State playing the Korn Ferry Tour playoffs, and I see him in my golf bag, and I make my caddy walk over and distract you and your caddy. So I take your driver head cover, I pull it off, and I put these things up in your driver head cover and put it back on your driver. So now you're going to go to the first tee, and you're going to pull that thing off the hit driver, and a pair of large ass pink drawers are about to fall off right on the tee in front of the whole crowd. And I'll be honest, I had tears rolling down my face. I'm waiting for it. I'm like this, watching. You grab the head cover, pull it off, hit your tee shot. They got stuck up in there.
They just stayed there. Yeah.
And then I forgot to bring it up later in the round. Those things were in your head cover for 3 weeks before I can't remember who was caddying for you at the time. Probably Spencer.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, Spencer, did you check and find anything?" He's like, "Dude, we found him like 2.5 weeks later. I just happened to reach up in there. I saw him, and we threw him out." But oh my God, that was the prank that didn't go through.
It was a big fail for you, but yeah, it was
that happened.
Those practice rounds with Bon and Carl were the best. I mean, that was that camaraderie that we're talking about, and it made for me my best year on tour by far, both enjoyment and the way I played, just because there was something to look forward to every week outside of just the tournament, outside of competition.
You talk about good for your mental health. Go play a practice round with those two, and my God, it was
so much fun. You walk with a smile on your face the whole day.
Exactly.
Okay.
So.
Want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors. Future Birdies is based in Charleston, South Carolina, and is a developing golf platform focusing on player wellness and performance, and is home to the #1 hat in golf. Visit futurebirdies.com to learn more. And the nice people over at Future Birdies are going to give you 20% off your first order with promo code WHEAT. That's promo code WHEAT for 20% off your first order. They're also going to donate 100% of the profits on purchases of junior hats back to the Mulligan Foundation, a foundation that we started to help with the mental health aspects of all avenues of golf. So visit futurebirdies.com, aim high, go low. And now back to Sam Saunders.
All right, Pardsy, we'll let you go in just a minute here. We got to hit you with the 6-pack of questions.
Yep.
Something we do, 6 quick hitting questions for you at the end of the interview here. Number 1, seeing as how you were a walking first aid kit for the better part of 5 years, I need you to rank your top 4 injuries that you brought on yourself, with the dumbest or craziest one as number 1.
Ooh, top 4 injuries, dumbest or craziest. Man, that's tough. So
You got to
I'd say
roll
my
the next
number
one.
one. Yeah, my number one. Well, should I go from 4 down or 1? Should I
You
say
pick. It's your injuries here, man. It's your hosting.
So I'm gonna go the other way because I'm gonna save the best for last. So, I would say the skiing injury, because that was, I was just skiing. I was being a normal person. I was actually the bad part about this one is I was up in Vail skiing. I was skiing at Beaver Creek because I had a scheduled wrist surgery on January 16th. And the wrist surgery was just simple. It was just to get a cyst out of my wrist. I didn't do anything stupid. I had a cyst that was like deep in my wrist. January 16th, I guess this was like 2021, I think. And I was skiing on the 15th, the afternoon before my surgery the next day. And, it was the last run. I was like, I'm going to get a little bit of speed. And I hit a pretty big ice patch going quite fast and hit a hole. Tibial plateau fracture. Literally, my femur broke, my tibia. It was awful. I skied down on one leg because I refused to get carted down in the meat wagon. So I got the 2-for-1 surgery. I called my doctor. I said, "Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for my wrist surgery, but I'm pretty sure I just broke my leg." And I go see him. He's like, "Yeah, you broke your leg. You wanna do them both tomorrow?" And I said, "Sure. Let's knock them out while I'm in there." So yeah, I got some bone put back in my leg and got my wrist done, and that was not super fun because that'll bring me back to I guess injury. Well, I don't know. Now I got to go another direction with number 3. Number 3 was probably my scariest injury in terms of like actually life threatening, and this goes all the way back to like 2015. I was riding a hoverboard. Yeah, I was riding one of those hoverboards. It was like a new invention.
One-wheel scooter?
Yeah, it's like the one. Yeah, it's the kids used to get on, like you go forward like that. They weren't that cool, but we had one. So I'm riding this thing back from a friend's house in our neighborhood, and it was at like 8:00, and I was really dehydrated. We'd done a big hike that day. It was hot, and I was not very good at taking care of myself back then. And I literally passed out. So lights just went out, and I hit the back of my head on the road, and it was bad. I mean, I got picked up in an ambulance. I woke up in the hospital. I had a epidural hematoma, which is like an internal brain bleed, and I think they're about 25% fatal. So I spent 2 nights in the ICU with that one, and was incredibly lucky, honestly, just to not have any long-term effects from it. I did actually get the approval to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana the next week. The doctor said, if you were playing any other sport than golf, there was no way I'd let you go. And I was pretty woozy that week, but I did finish 4th. Just kind of strolled around the golf course, very laid back, because I was happy to be alive, and finished 4th to get my PGA Tour card back right after blowing my head out that week. So that was injury number 3 on the list here. Number 2, two's kind of boring. I guess I'll just go with the stress fracture in the wrist. It's just over golf, hitting way too many shots where digging into the ground, and then I flipped the club really hard like that, and I think I just wore out this part of my wrist so badly that I had to get surgery. This was actually off season last year, coming up on a year ago. I got that surgery, which really stunk because I was super excited to go back, and it forced me to miss the first few tournaments. And my number one injury would be the collarbone, just because it was just so gnarly. It was a great, really good injury. This was 2019, Friday before Corn Ferry Finals. I was getting ready to go. I'd had a horrible year. I was not excited to go, and I was racing Cohen, my son. We lived on a cul-de-sac and had like this big loop, and I was riding my one wheel. I had on no shoes, so I was just barefoot, and he said, "Let's race." So I know how fast I was going because the one wheel has an app that tells you. So I was going 20.6 miles per hour. For those of you that don't know, a one wheel is basically a snowboard on a wheel. You have a big donut wheel between your feet, between two skateboard decks. And I was cruising. I was racing Cohen, and I was very adamant on winning. And the board has a feature called pushback where it tells you, hey, you're going too fast. You need to stop doing this. But I didn't care. I was just going. So the board shuts off. My left foot just plants. I got a couple steps in, but I'm not fast enough to run it out at 21 miles an hour. So I tucked and rolled, and I exploded my collarbone. It was nasty. I had road rash all over my feet and arms, and I stood up, and I'm kind of going like this, and I'm like, oh, I'm okay. And my wife looks at me, and she's like, no, you're not. And my bone had come out of my shoulder and kind of gone back in. It did one of those, and it was like a little volcano of blood coming out of my shoulder there, and I got real nauseous real quick. And but you know what's funny? And you talk about mental health and golf and just the hardships that we go through. I'll never forget. I was on my way to the emergency room with my wife driving me. I was bleeding all over her seats in the car, and it should have been an absolutely horrible moment, but it had been a really hard year for me. 2019 was not good. I was super sick. I had all kinds of stuff going on that just made golf impossible. And we're riding to the ER with, a hole in my shoulder. And I just felt this enormous sense of relief because I knew I was going to get a break, and I knew I was done. And I was just happy. I was happy that I said, okay, well, you know what? I didn't want to break a bone, but I need to be home. And it was that moment that I realized just how hard this career can be, and just, not being home and not doing the things that you want to do in life sometimes can just take a toll on you. And I felt this relief that I knew I was going to get to stay home for probably, a few months while I was recovering this. And it's, I know that sounds probably pretty crazy, but nope. That was the worst injury, but it was also a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's what this game can do to you. And yeah, my favorite part of that story, when Kelly would tell me that story, is, he gets up, he's all, I'm good, hon, I'm fine. She's like, yeah, there's blood spouting out of your back right now.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty.
Yep. But nicely done. So next one's going to be, golfers are superstitious about what they do pre-round, post-round, things like that. So before a round of golf, what are you more likely to put on your face, sunscreen or beef tallow?
Beef tallow. Yeah. If I'm putting sunscreen on, it's beef tallow and zinc sunscreen these days. Yeah. I've gotten pretty into what I'm eating and what I'm doing. So yeah, look it up. Do your research. Do your research before you spray yourself, folks. That's all I'm going to say.
I had to ask Kelly, wait, he rubs like beef fat on his face now? She's like, it's like a moisturizer for him.
Hey, she's using it too. So don't let her fool you into throwing me
under that too. Okay. Yeah. So that's pre-round. Post-round, would you rather go in and enjoy your favorite IPA or a nice glass of raw milk?
Ah, man, my dad and I crushed a half gallon of raw milk the other night. We were up in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, kind of doing some work on the course, and I kind of didn't want to go out to dinner, so I grabbed 2 giant ribeyes and a half gallon of raw milk, and that's just what we ate. And I've converted another one, so I don't know. I still do love a good IPA. Living in Colorado, we got some good stuff, but I'm trending towards the raw milk. It's illegal out there though, so I can't find it. So whenever I do, I jump on board.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Folks, before the next question, folks, I want you to enjoy this video clip here real fast that we're going to play before the next question.
What is this?
All right, that gets us to question number 3. If you find the retirement doesn't suit you and you need that competitive bug back, are you more likely to compete on the pommel horse or the rings in the 2028 Olympic Games?
Oof, probably rings, I would say. I'm working on my rings muscle up. I'm on a program right now. I love it. I mean, there's something about hanging upside down and swinging around. I'm always going to be 14. I mean, when I go outside and play with the kids, I just climb trees and see how high I can get. And I just don't, I'm never going to let them beat me at things like that. So strength in the shoulders.
Which goes back to the injury bug as well, which is why you're climbing trees and never letting your kids win.
Yeah. It's the competitiveness never goes away. Even though I'm not playing anymore, I can be competitive at anything.
Yep. So now watching the video, we did notice that in the video, you don't have the normal golfer tan lines.
Yeah.
Is that because you think you still live in Florida and refuse to wear a shirt in Colorado? And secondly, wouldn't wearing a shirt help cover up the body odor from your new homemade deodorant?
No. That's also a fair question. Listen, I live in Colorado and I absolutely love it. Great state, but I'm a proud Florida man, and I need the neighbors to know that. So I'm constantly but hey, vitamin D, man, it's one of the best supplements on planet Earth. It's what gives us life. So I'm out there shirtless as much as I possibly can now. And it's nice to not have the golfer's tan. It feels good. Yeah.
That's good. You want to elaborate on the deodorant at all?
Currently I'm using one. It's not homemade. It's not actually the Van Man. Check out the Van Man company. Guy's great. Absolutely love his products. It's like a magnesium and coconut paste that you just stick. Hey, it works. You got to be careful about what you're spreading on your armpits.
Let's go, Van Man. I love it. That's beautiful. 5th question. I need to know, what is the higher number, the number of golf clubs in Arnold Palmer's famous office or the number of cars you've purchased and sold in the last 10 years?
God, did my wife set you up for this? I mean,
no, I
listen, that's a sensitive subject. Okay. It's going to be the clubs. I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, but hey, I lived out of a van this whole season. All right. I mean, it's economical. The van purchase was, if we're getting into taxes, it's a write-off.
Mm-hmm.
I saved for the whole season for 14 events. I didn't have to get a flight, a rental car, or a hotel. That's good economics right there. And then to turn around and sell it for what you paid for it.
Oh, you sold it?
I can. Oh yeah. I sold the van.
You bought a van and sold the van the same year this year?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You're feeding right into my question here, boss, right?
Yeah, it's fine. No, listen, it's admitted. I have a problem, but I could think of a lot worse problems than, buying and selling trucks and vans like I like to do, because the needs change. The needs are ever changing. In fact, right now, I have a big truck that I was, planning on pulling a trailer with. The Airstream trailer that I had, I mean, that's a whole nother road we could go down. We lived in an Airstream for a whole summer, and it was the best summer of my life by far. And it's the best summer of my kids' life. If you haven't lived in a camper van or a camper for an extended period of time, you got to do it. It's the best life in the world. And I miss the Airstream a lot. And I have a truck now, but I'm not going to be pulling anything. So now I'm transitioning into, I want an overland truck where I can throw a tent on the back and get up into the woods and do some serious camping. Cause I just went and camped with Ace, my 10-year-old, and we just slept up in a tent in the woods, and it was awesome. I mean, there's no better relatively free entertainment than that. Yep. So, but I need a different rig now. So
what are you thinking? Like a Tundra?
Yeah. I'm going to overland a Tundra. That's true. So if anyone out there wants to help me out get a Tundra, I know the Sweetie podcast is reaching millions already. So
yeah, no free ads. No free ads.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Beautiful. So the last question is going to be the same for every interview. And at some point I'm going to collect all these answers and sell it to every junior golf parent in the world for about $1 billion. So if 37-year-old Sam Saunders could go back and tell 22-year-old Sam Saunders the things that would help him have a long and successful career, what would he tell him?
Make as many friends as you can. Keep up with your relationships. Keep in touch with people. Be nice, which I'd like to think I did an okay job of that. Just be nice to everybody. It's so nice. It's so easy to. It's just so easy to be nice to people when you're doing this career, and to take the time to treat people the right way. It's a lot of work to be an asshole. It really is, and you don't need to be. It's way cooler to be nice. And being good at golf doesn't require the latter. So that would be kind of my number one thing I'd tell 22-year-old Sam. But gosh, I mean, take care of yourself. I think that's, find a good routine, both physically and mental. You have to, because the one thing I figured out at that age, or as I got a little bit older, is at some point it's going to end for everybody. Your golf career, no matter how good you are, it's going to come to an end. And make sure that you're doing the things in life that you have friends and family and a support system that you want to be around when it's over. Because there's a long life. Life's long, and there's all kinds of challenges, and you need people around you. And if you don't, it's going to be tough.
Perfect answer, Sammy. I couldn't agree more. And that's one of my my big things right now, is to make sure your life off the golf course is holistic and round, so that if I pulled that part of your life away, are you still happy? Are you content with who you are? Are you content with the people around you? And so that was a great answer. Great answer.
Well, I'd just like to plug that I'm very fortunate. I have an amazing wife and two amazing boys, and I had a very average professional golf career, but I would not trade one thing in the world. I wouldn't trade careers or lives for any player out there, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful that I made friends like you along the way. That's it's cool, and even though there's gaps in time where we may not talk to each other for a year, the real friendships are the one where you can pick back up right where you left off. And then it makes you realize now we keep in touch with each other a lot better, because, sometimes you think you're too busy in life to keep up with your friends. And there's nothing more important than keeping the relationships that you have.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Well, Sammy, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I wish you nothing but the best with your new television career and with the family businesses. And I look forward to our next round together soon.
Yep, me too, Weedy. We'll do the usual.
The usual. I love it, baby.
All right.
Best of luck to you, man. And I'll be watching you on TV this week. Thanks again, Sammy.
You bet. See you soon. All right.
Take care, bud.
Bye.